What we're looking for is really understanding what's important to each person and then seeing how we can problem solve together instead of one person just offloading on the other and saying, too bad for you, get it done.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have my best friend, Kathy, with us today. She is back. The other episode is in the show notes. Kathy and I and you are going to talk about empathy. You know, have you ever walked up to someone, you just needed a listening ear and you went to talk to them and all they wanted to do was give you advice and not listen? Okay, that has happened to me lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we not be that person? I mean, we have people around us all the time that just need a listening ear, somebody to hold space for them and what they're going through. And Kathy's going to help us today learn how to be empathetic and listening and to actually support the people who are turning to us for help, whether it be our family members or our coworkers or our best friends. So before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Kathy's going to help us be more empathetic. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Kathy, the information about you is in the show notes. So, you know, I'm sure we've all had that one person that after 2 or 3 times thinking you could talk to them, that was it. Because they don't really listen. And I don't want to be that person. So help me be a good listener and care about the people who want to share problems with me.
Great. Laura, Jane, I'm really excited to share about this topic. That is a challenge, and it's painful when we receive that, like we're really wanting to share something and gain some empathy or some support, and we get something completely different. We might get advice. We might get told, "Oh, you don't feel that way." We get our feelings shut down, or we might receive a story which is about that person or someone that person knows who we don't even know. And so it's painful. It's a shutdown, as you were alluding to. And so as the listener, I think the first thing to do when someone comes and says, "Hey, can I talk to you?" is to check in with yourself and see, am I actually available? Do I have time? Do I have the capacity? Am I willing to spend the time to listen to this particular person? Am I open to being present for this person? And if the answer is for some reason, well, no, not really, it's most helpful to let the person know. I'm running short on time right now. I really would like to give you the listening you need. Could we do that at, and then you name a time where you could actually be fully present and not on some other crunched timeline.
Oh, I like that because I think more than once, you go to someone, you go, hey, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And
And
it's
they're
like,
going,
hey, wait.
they're looking
I'm
at their
running to a
phone and they're
meeting.
and that's painful.
Yeah. And it's like, it is. It's like, hey, I really need someone. So I need to take responsibility of how I request the space, and then give them the opportunity to say, I don't have a minute right now. And I would love to give you my full attention. So as a listener, if someone comes to me and they start to share the problem, I can always say, hey, I would really love to give you my full attention, but
I
no
would use
buts
the word
about.
and I have this deadline, or I have to go pick up the kids, or whatever that might be, and then offer something else, like a different time or a day, or maybe even a different person who might be available at the moment. So I think that's important, first of all. And the next thing could be to ask the person, wondering what you would like back. Are you looking just for some listening? Or are you wanting support for how to work something out? Do you want ideas? So then you kind of have an idea up front and you won't kind of miss the boat if they're just wanting listening, that you won't jump in and start trying to offer ideas, which I suggest you don't do that anyway. Even if they want help figuring something out, to offer empathy for me means really hearing and understanding all of what's going on first. Like, really find out the content of the situation, of course, but then the feelings and the deeper values or needs that the person is holding as important in that moment to really create a deeper understanding. So when you do get down the road to ideas and strategies, there's actually an understanding of what the true needs are. And you're not offering those ideas too soon to where they don't actually address the situation. So it might take more time up front to explore and really hear someone and understand all of that. And it can save time down the road with strategies that don't really match the issues and the deeper needs.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense to kinda ask because what if you said, "Oh my gosh, I stubbed my toe," and they said, "Oh, I know, that big toe sticks right out and it gets in the way all the time," and you're going, "It's my baby toe." They didn't even take enough time to deduct which of the 10 it was.
Right. So, yeah, you want to understand what's actually going on. So, in the model that I work with, which is compassionate communication, nonviolent communication, we focus on listening not only for the facts, but also for the feelings, the emotions, because those emotions point us toward what matters to the person, like what's at the heart of the matter. So we're listening for feelings and we're listening for what we call universal needs, those deeper values or qualities of life that a person is really wanting to experience. We're listening for that instead of, I like to say, when I'm being in empathy with someone, there is essentially in that moment, there's no I in empathy. It's not about me. It's not about how I feel about it. It's really, I'm curious about how the speaker feels and what's important to them. And I just want to reflect and see if I'm understanding them. So I'm going to reflect back something about the feelings and the deeper needs that I hear. And I want to do that in the form of a question
Okay.
where I'm actually just like checking, am I getting you? Am I understanding you? Is this what you mean? Is this what's important to you?
So if I say, "Kathy, Henry and I got in this big argument and this happened, and I just don't know if I can ever work with him again," your response would be,
Oh, Laura Jane, is it that you're upset and feeling a little bit hopeless because you're really wanting understanding with Henry and you're wanting to connect and wanting to trust that somehow that might be able to happen? Is that it?
"I guess." Sometimes I just want him to take my point of view and feel like he's caring instead of just shooting me down all the time.
Oh, so is that frustration that you're experiencing, is it related to that sort of real desire to be understood and to kind of have some kind of a shared worldview or shared mindset or perspective? Like you're wanting some companionship in what you're thinking?
Well, maybe I'm just tired of him always thinking he's right.
Oh, yeah. So is it you're longing for some, I think you mentioned before, care. And I'm wondering if it's also a kind of mm, respect, some honoring of your perspective.
You're pretty good at this coming back. I'm trying to make it hard. You've
And
had practice.
I appreciate that because that's how it actually is in life. People say yes, yes, but no, it's more like this. And we just keep listening for what is it that really matters. Oh, you want to be understood. Oh, you want care. Oh, you want a kind of honoring of your perspective, with some, like, respect. And we just keep listening for what is at the heart of it, and then checking that back with the person who, eventually they're gonna say, "Yeah, that's it," and you'll go from there.
And I like how you're drilling down on what's causing the problem. What is, and I would say triggering me to be frustrated at a person, which is something internal, not them usually. Okay, always. But I don't want it to always be my fault.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a point, I think eventually I would go, I just don't know how to work with him. What would you do? What would you suggest? You know, so I think eventually I would turn from, I think you totally understand. I think
Yes.
naturally I would be ready to ask the question. But if
Mhm.
at first you started giving me ideas, well, sounds like he just likes to be in control. And I'm going, well, I don't care if it's his way. I just want to know that he heard me, and
Yeah,
where's that balance between everything?
yes.
So, how do we make sure we're listening long enough? And what if it takes longer than we really have? How do I put it on hold and finish up tomorrow because I got a thing to go to?
Yeah. So there comes that opportunity for some, what I call immediacy or transparency, an honest expression. Wow, Laura Jane, it sounds like this is really a challenge. And I notice I'm running short of time right now. You really matter, and this situation really matters. I want to give you that support. And what I'd love to do is find another time, maybe tomorrow or later on this evening, where we could sit down and be relaxed and really flesh this out a little more. Would you be open to that?
Yes, of course I would be. What
So
if
that's an example. Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking, we have so many different people in our lives. And I'm thinking, if it was my kid coming to me, I probably would want to change my schedule. Can you give me 5 minutes to offload this thing that I need to go to? I just need to let them know that you are my priority.
Yeah.
Where someone at work, you could just say, hey, tomorrow. How do you choose, like, check in with yourself? How important is this also to me?
Yeah. Well, and that's the piece too. Like when I say, how does that sound to you, or does that work for you? I'm checking in, and the person might say, no, I'm really desperate. Tomorrow's not going to work for me. In which case I might come back with, okay, let me take 5 or 10 minutes and do what I need to do, and then we can resume. Or I might offer a colleague who has expertise in that area and see if they're available to help you with this. So there are options. And I loved your example of expressing, you really matter to me, and I need a little time to take care of something, and then I can come right back to you. So it's that honest expression, the letting the person know that they matter and that their situation matters. That goes a really long way. That is the expression of care, that people will respond to. Like, oh, I do matter. And they do want to offer that support. So,
I'm going to switch this up a bit because so many times I think as we learn and we learn how to do this inquiry and letting people matter, we get better at it. And it is practice.
mhm,
I need to do it multiple times before I can consistently do it in a way that works. But on the reverse side, when someone just is not listening to me and there's no other person that I need to do this communication with, how do I find a way to get them to listen? Like, say I'm walking into my boss and I have a problem with a deadline and I'm trying to explain it, and they're just like, no, it's got to be done on this time, do whatever it takes. But I need more time. It's not possible for me. And if it's you're not getting through, what do we do? Because I think I've run into that multiple times at work where the person's just stuck in this, you must have it done by here. And it's a 25-hour task and I have 8 hours to do it.
mhm. Yeah, so you can use a one-liner of empathy there. So, boss, is it that you're feeling really concerned or determined because this is very important to you and you're wanting that completion? You're wanting that resolution or whatever that might be. And, so you've listened to them and acknowledged how important it is to them. And they say yes. And then you say, and, not but, we say, and what I'm experiencing right now, what I really would like for you to hear is that I see this as a 25-hour project. 5 hours, I just don't see how I can manage this. Can you help me to figure out some strategies or some support from other members of the team that could help get this accomplished? I'm wondering, boss, what are you hearing right now? Would you mind just reflecting what you've heard me share? Because I want to check and see, like, are they getting it instead of them just coming back with some other response? I want to elicit an empathic reflection by asking for them. Would you mind just reflecting what you're hearing I've got going on about this?
Would it help if we said something like, I don't have the ability to do this in your timeline. I
Yes.
either need you to find someone who can or get help so that we can deliver what you need. What are you willing to do to make sure this is done on your timeline?
There you go. Yeah. So offering a strategy or a couple of strategies and asking them what they're willing to do and what they're willing to work with. Absolutely. What we're looking for is really understanding what's important to each person and then seeing how we can problem solve together instead of one person just offloading on the other and saying, you know, whatever. Too bad for you, get it done.
It's
Yeah.
I don't have a
Yeah.
magic wand.
I'm not magic. This isn't humanly possible. Would it help you, boss? Would it help you to understand more of what's involved in accomplishing this so you can understand the time that's necessary? Would that be helpful?
Could you help me understand why this is a deadline? Because I love to deliver on time and would like to support it, but my level of skill and abilities not going to be able to support this. So, is there anything we can do? I'm just thinking about a time when it was, I just need it so I can review it. And I was like, well, can I give you a draft and you can start reviewing it and then I can finish it tomorrow?
Yeah.
What is that negotiation process? Is that part of being empathetic and being a good listener and or communicator?
I think, of course, you're talking about the collaboration. It's about being curious, which is really ultimately one of the most important things in communication, not assuming we know, but being curious. So asking, yes, I'd like to understand more about what's important to you about having this done at this particular time. Or are there certain parts that you could work with within this time frame? Or yes, exploring, really understanding more about what is driving the deadline would certainly be helpful. And that's what I would call collaboration. But whenever you're in a collaboration, you're in a conversation or a dialogue, you're doing one of three things. You're checking in with yourself. What's going on? What is it I'm wanting, needing, feeling, valuing, asking for? Or you are listening to the other person about what they're feeling, needing, valuing, and asking for, or you're expressing. So it's either internal or you're expressing, or you're listening and being curious and really working to understand what's important to the other person. So those are really the three key things that are happening in any conversation at any given time. Each person is doing one of those three things. And that is dialogue. That is collaboration. The key underpinnings of that are one, the curiosity, two, the caring about what matters to each person and what matters to the organization or business, but holding care and respect, really listening and valuing what the person says and without diminishing, like, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or you shouldn't want this, or you should be able to do this, getting all of those shoulds out of the way so that there's the focus on I'm honoring, I'm respecting what your thoughts are, what's important to you, how you feel about it, what's driving you. And there's a respect for that, a curiosity and a care. So without that, it's going to be sort of that power over, just do it. I don't care what you think, or I'm not doing it and I don't care how you react. It could go either direction, but so the care and the mattering of what's important to each person in any given interaction is important.
I think I need your phone number. Hey, Kathy, you be me. I'm going to be the person that I'm going to talk to. And you help me frame my words to my obstinate boss or my person. It's like, okay, this is what the problem is. I'm going to be the one that doesn't want to listen.
Yes, and that's absolutely the kind of work I do. I actually coach people, professionals and, people in their private lives as well. And we work through and can role play, and do what you just described. That's a big part of what I do with people to learn the skills and practice them and rehearse,
Mhm.
pre-rehearsal before going into a important conversation. Definitely.
Yeah. What an awesome thing to offer because so many times, eh, I think about both sides just want to be understood.
Yes.
But if we can take that ground and say, let me understand you first, because then I'm going to be able to articulate my words back in a sense that supports you. What a great, and I'm going to make this sound rude, but manipulation strategy. You know, the more you know about the situation you're having to respond to, the better you're going to respond. So it probably makes sense to choose to go second.
And yeah, and I would call it a navigation or a strategy, a way of creating connection. So if two people come to a conversation and both have something they're very passionate about or have a very strong preference for a particular outcome or strategy, or one person is very upset or both people are upset, it's important for one person to do exactly what you said and say, okay, I'm willing to listen. And it's helpful if in that kind of situation, there's kind of an acknowledgement at the outset of the conversation. I want to have this conversation where we can both have an opportunity to express and be heard and understood before we talk about strategies. And then both people can relax. The person that's going to speak second can know that they're going to have space and have a turn. So, yes, listening to one person first, because there's a lot of energy
Mhm.
and a lot of thinking about what I want to say, what I want to say. There's no listening happening. They're just
Right.
busy thinking about what's important to them and what they want to say. So, being able for one person to relax and say, okay, I am prepared to be present and to listen and to reflect what I hear from you and to really understand you. And then when that happens, that person becomes relaxed. They've been heard. They're open to now listening and receiving what I have to say, which they couldn't let anything in before because they were full, you know, and,
Mhm.
and anxious. So that's an important role of empathy, of helping to calm and open the minds and the hearts of whoever's being involved in the conversation.
You may be 5 minutes into a conversation and at an impasse, and all you have to say is, "Sounds like we're running into an impasse. Let me take a moment to understand your point. So please explain it to me." And when you take that step back, you're not saying, "I'm giving up." You're saying, "Let me take a moment to understand you."
Mhm.
And giving them the opportunity to fully share and do your fun little reflect and ask more questions, dive in deeper. When you feel like you understand, I love how you were like, "Is this what you're feeling?"
Mhm.
Is this how I could support that? Instead of, well, I could do this. You're giving them the opportunity to buy into a response.
And really to make sure the understanding is happening. And what I'm reflecting really is any feelings or emotions that are being shared and any of those what we call needs, universal qualities of life. It's the level of which we find our shared humanity. Is this about efficiency? Is this about competence? Is this about contribution? Is this about creativity? Is this about respect? Really exploring that level of understanding is where we wanna go first, and I want this to be actually based on what the person has expressed. I'm not digging in someone's personal business. I am basing these reflective questions about feelings and needs or values. It's based on what the person gives me, what they have spoken, the way they've spoken it, the tone of voice, all of those communication indicators, including, of course, the content. But I don't want to go digging. Was this because you're having trouble at home or something that's too personal, especially in the work setting? No, it's like, are you concerned? Is it that you're really wanting more contribution and inclusion and participation when we're in those meetings? They were naming that. The same three people are talking all the time. So that right there to me says inclusion,
Mhm.
contribution, all voices being heard, participation. So it's based fully on what the person has expressed. So I think that's really important to stay right with the person and not go further or digging or creating some discomfort or embarrassment by going somewhere the person has not been willing to go yet themselves.
So let's go back to the timeline thing because I'm thinking of more things. If I was to say something and I want, is this empathetic? I understand that you think this can be done by 5 o'clock tonight. Is there something else I can take off your plate so that you can do this by 5 o'clock? Back? I mean, if they're telling me it can be done by 5 and I know I can't do it, is there something else I can take so that you have the time to do it?
Oh, so that you have the time to do it.
Yeah. Put it in their laps if they are totally unreasonable.
That's another strategy. That's strategizing. The empathy line was, I'm hearing and understanding that you are holding that this could be done by 5 o'clock. That would be an empathic reflection.
Okay.
The part where you're saying, could I take something off your plate so you have time to do this? That would be strategizing.
Okay.
So I would kind of hold those a little bit apart.
Absolutely. But I would need to totally understand his point before I started doing a strategy that might be welcoming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I might
first,
even do that kind of curiosity about what's important to you with all that teasing out we talked before.
mhm,
And then I would say, are you willing to strategize some other ways to meet this goal given the information that I'm not able to do it? Are you open to, I have three or four other ideas. Can we take a look at those or do you have any other ideas? So now you're in agreement about strategizing together.
that's empowering to both of you
Yeah.
instead of offering solutions that they just want to balk at, you know?
Right. Yeah, they may not even want to do that or be willing to. So let's get on board with what we're doing now in the conversation. Are you willing to engage in some brainstorming?
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what other ways can I learn to be more empathic to the person I'm communicating with? Because it sounds like it doesn't matter what side of the equation I'm on. I can choose to be the one to empathize, understand, and choose a path of communication.
Thinking of, here's a piece that might be interesting and I would think very helpful. Very often, there's something that happens in relating, which is people blame each other or offer judgments or assumptions and may actually come right out with, you know, this is your fault, or you made this happen, or you make me feel, that kind of language where there's a kind of blame. Now, this is tricky to receive. It's uncomfortable to receive. It's usually kind of stimulating, and we want to get defensive. And then we react and we end up saying things we probably regret, and we blame back or tell them they're the one who, you're the one who's always late and you don't get your part done and that kind of thing. And we just are tossing blame back and forth, and both people are triggered and defensive, and it goes nowhere. So, this would be a fabulous place to insert some empathy. Someone comes, they complain or they blame or they, you know, are judging you for something you did or did not do. If you can, find the wherewithal to take a couple of deep breaths and imagine and maybe hold the assumption that their upset has to do with something beautiful that's important to them. It comes back to those needs and those values, that it's actually about them and not about you or me, whoever's receiving that blame or judgment. So if I could take a breath and think, there's something really important to this person that's got them up in arms like this and willing to talk to me in this way. So we come back to our curiosity, like what's really at the heart of the matter? And that would be a place to offer an empathic reflection. So someone comes and says, "This is all your fault. We didn't get this done in time, and you blah, blah, blah." I would want to offer them an empathic reflection, first of all. Is it that you're really frustrated and upset because you so value efficiency and you were hoping that we would get this completed as a team? Oh my gosh, yes. Instead of like taking on, I'm the bad, wrong person, I'm reflecting what's important to them so they can go, yes, I'm heard and I'm understood. And then maybe we could explore, well, let's have a look at what happened and what we might do differently in the future. Or, yes, I'm hearing what's important to you. Did I get you? And they say, yes. And then I say, and gosh, I'm having a different experience, or here's part of my experience. Are you open to hearing that? And then I'd share what happened for me without blame or judgment, but naming some facts and things that were important to me in the situation. I might say, yeah, I got all the information at this time, and that left me about 2 hours to filter through all of that and come up with my part. And gosh, I had some frustration and, challenge. And because I value efficiency and really wanted to do a good job and get it done as well. Wow. I felt kind of frustrated and upset as well. I would have liked more time. I'm wondering, what are you hearing from what I've shared? Inviting the reflection, because they may not, jump in and give it. They might want to jump in and give more explanations or defensive responses.
I ever feel like being in an argument, I wanna be with you because you would diffuse it immediately.
I would love I would love to think so.
Sometimes there's just enough emotion behind what's going on
Mhm.
that you don't take the moment to allow the empathy. It's like, all I wanna do is be right now.
And that's that moment where we can pull back and the self-empathy, self-connection, which is it takes a moment or maybe several moments. Maybe we need to have this conversation a little bit later after we think about it and come to some inner clarity. But this is a key piece where taking a moment, creating a pause. I think I need a minute on this because this is important and I want to respond with care. Could I have a moment? So creating a pause and then taking those few deep breaths, or maybe taking 5 minutes and getting some clarity and calmness so that you can come back with an empathic response or come back with a self responsible expression that isn't defensive or blaming.
Yeah, I could see myself saying, "My stubbornness is starting to kick in, and I'd really like to take a moment to get myself together so that I can respond and listen
Yeah.
without my stubbornness. I wanna leave him in the other room.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love that. It
Yeah, sometimes I get really stubborn, but I can learn, or I can take a moment and go, "This is not important. This relationship is way more important than my stubbornness, and so I need a moment to just kick him out of the conversation."
Yeah. And, another thing that's helpful when we know we're going to enter into an important conversation is to check in with ourselves beforehand. Am I open to hearing the other person's perspective? Really? Am I open to different strategies or other possible outcomes that I have not even thought of yet? Am I open to a kind of synergy that could happen when we listen to each other and hear each other and we, brainstorm together? Am I open? Because if I come to a dialogue with my heels already dug in and I'm attached to my way or the highway, it's not really going to be a dialogue. It's going to be me trying to power over someone or manipulate someone to get my way. And
Mhm.
in the end, if I do that and then they finally just give in or give up or whatever, what kind of follow through will I actually have? And often this is where that sort of passive aggressive stuff comes from, or resentments build between us, and then we have less cooperation in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not building a relationship, we're breaking it down when that happens. And
Exactly.
if we really want those relationships in our lives, work, friends, family, whoever it is, we really want that connection. It's worth the time that you invest.
So that taking the time and creating the space to really listen, to stay curious, to stay present, and to reflect instead of try to inject. I'm not here to tell my story or give advice or diminish your feelings or tell you how you should do things. When I am listening, I'm really focused on just listening. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say next or my point or whether I agree or disagree or approve or disapprove. And it's just, can I respectfully and with care really listen in order to understand? In order to understand. Fundamental to good relationship, good communication.
I love it because it reminds me of Stephen Covey's book, Seek First to Understand,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how much value in negotiations, in relationships, in
mhm,
business, in family, how much value you bring to the table when at least one of the parties understands, because it gives you that opportunity to keep moving forward.
and what I've been so fortunate and grateful to be able to teach for the last 20 years is the how to do that.
You've been doing this for 20 years.
20 years, yeah, and I just wanna honor and give acknowledgement and appreciation to Marshall Rosenberg, PhD, who brought forward this beautiful model of nonviolent communication that I have been so fortunate to be able to share and to help so many people, so many people.
Oh, fun. Oh,
Mhm.
Kathy, this has been great. Is there any last bits of insight that we could share to round this all up? Or is there that one thing? What should I do first if I'm in one of those situations? What's that one thing that I could practice right now, tomorrow, today,
Mm.
whenever?
Yeah, I come back to that slow things down.
Mm.
Slow things down. I need a pause 1 second. Sorry about that. So, the thing you can do right now, something simple, is to slow things down and to let yourself become actually present again instead of that, ah, I got to react. I got to fix this. I have to do something. But to go, could I slow down, take a breath, and really listen for the feelings and the deeper needs? Like, what is at the heart of the matter? I think that question would be really one to just hold, you know? What is at the heart of the matter? That's what I'm listening for. Could I focus on that?
I like that. It's something really short. You could put it on your computer monitor. And if you run into one of those conversations or an email or something, it's like, what is the heart of this matter?
Mhm.
Oh, I could ask that question in a different way in response to this email. Or, it gives you that pause moment.
And that sense of care, like I really wanna know what's important to you when I'm listening to you. And that's what's important in the listening.
Mm.
It's about what's important to the speaker in that moment. Though we can take time for my half of the conversation and what's important to me later, But when we're focused just on the listening and just the empathy, just let it be about the speaker for that time.
What if you never get a chance to respond?
Well, then I would say, you know, come study with me some more and find out about how to do some honest expression. And we've given some nice examples of that here today as well. So I've listened and listened and understood, and the person feels fully understood. Maybe we've even strategized. If it's a situation that we're both involved in and are challenged by, then I would say I wouldn't want to go to strategies until both of us have had an opportunity to speak, be heard, have reflection, make sure we've said everything we want to say. So I might, make that request. I would make that request for, gosh, if you're feeling fully heard and understood, yes, yes, yes. I would love to have an opportunity now to express and be heard and understood and have you reflect for me. Are you open to doing that now?
That's a nice way to do it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, which what you just said just bleeds right into that next question that I have for you. How
Oh,
can our friend get a hold of you? Where can they find Kathy to help them dialogue and learn to do this kind of communication?
thank you. Yes, you can actually, my phone number is quite public. So 970-216-8597. You can use my website. My business is called Communication Works, and my website is nvctraining.com. NVC as in nonviolent communication. NVCtrainingsource. I also have a book out called Live Compassion. You can see it a little bit there in the background. Live Compassion. You can find that anywhere online at any bookstore. And so Live Compassion, your daily guidebook for integrating nonviolent communication. I have a YouTube channel. You can look up my name, Kathy Ziola, and Communication Works, because I don't know my YouTube channel off the top of my head, but you put those two things together, and I'm sure you will find my YouTube channel.
And the links are in the show notes. So
Yeah.
that's very helpful.
Thank you. And I have training coming up. I have an 8-week series happening in this January and February. Oh, that may be gone by the time you hear this. I have in-person trainings as well. I have one in Colorado in April and one in Kentucky in June.
Are
So
the trainings listed on your website?
they are on my calendar page. And people
Okay.
come from all over the country and sometimes out of the country for these training events. So I would love to meet you and have you come join us.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy. I so much appreciate it. And I love dialoguing with you and role playing. It just makes everything seem so simple. And so many times I'm stuck in the emotion of it and
Yeah.
not stepping back and letting that emotion go. So thank you for sharing your wisdom on how to do this. Because
Yeah.
I think some of us just haven't learned yet and we want to.
And thank you, Laura Jane, for engaging and asking the questions and jumping in and just falling into role plays together. I really love that. And of course, that private coaching you mentioned is available to you or anyone else. So feel free to reach out.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for
Friend,
having me.
you're welcome. Friend Kathy and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We are here for entertainment. please follow your doctor and your therapist's advice. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.